Hi friends, Paul Ward here, and welcome to On the Road. You probably have your favorite national park. Maybe it's Yosemite, maybe it's Yellowstone, maybe it's the Grand Tetons. Well, did you know that the Santa Monica Mountains National Recreation Area is actually administered by the National Park Service, and it's the largest park next to an urban area, Los Angeles. So you would never know that we are next to a bustling metropolis of 10 million people. And today we happen to be actually in a little corner called the Peter Strauss Ranch, and it's also the home of a Tiny Porches Concert Series. And who better to talk to us today about that than our guest, Mike Corridori, the founder of Tiny Porches. Mike, welcome to On the Road.
Thank you, Paul. It's a pleasure. Could not be more excited to be here.
Absolutely. Well, we're glad to have you. So before we talk about Tiny Porches, Mike, tell us about the Peter Strauss Ranch. Where are we?
We're in a unique area here called Cornell Corner, basically between Paramount Ranch and Peter Strauss Ranch, where we're at right now. And it's known for movies that have been filmed here, movie stars, musicians that like to hang out in this area because it's very rural. So like you said in your intro, it doesn't look like you're in Los Angeles. It looks like you're in the countryside. This is sort of like the cowboy area of LA, and it's just a really special place that people like to come to.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that popular, and that's kind of a good thing and a bad thing. Right now, I kind of think it's a good thing because when you come here, it's not overcrowded. You really feel like you're
kind of a little Garden of Eden here.
Yeah, very much.
Not too far off the freeway, maybe a few miles, but a world away.
Yeah, 5 miles maybe.
Yeah. And so this particular spot, Peter Strauss Ranch, has kind of a rich history of characters, a kind of Indy 500, and all kinds of folks have kind of owned this place over the years.
Yeah, very much so. This particular property, now called Peter Strauss Ranch, was originally purchased by Henry Miller, and he built carburetors for the Indy 500. And I guess he made a lot of money doing it because this is a pretty big property here. And he built a ranch house, and he also built this tower. So coming here is like stepping back in time. And imagine it's the 1920s. You're coming to this party out in the mountains, out in the hills of Los Angeles.
It's kind of the Roaring Twenties.
The Roaring Twenties, yeah. It's prohibition. You can't have alcohol. So he built this tower at the entrance of the ranch. It's this big stone tower, and he would have somebody up at the top of this tower with a walkie-talkie. And when the police came, he would alert everybody that were at the party to say, "Okay, put your alcohol away."
That's awesome.
So, it's all about entertainment. This ranch and this area in general.
He had a travertine dance floor, and I mean, he was kind of a partier.
Yeah, there's a 1,000-foot travertine dance floor in front of the ranch house, and they would have big bands play and dancing and
kind of Art Deco type stuff from that era.
Yeah, all night long. It was
wow.
Party. Yeah,
and of course, it wasn't as populated back then. I mean, this was like the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got, motorcycles going by today because it's kind of like a popular with Harley Davidson guys, and it's popular with, road bikers and bicyclists. But
yeah, you're right on Mulholland Drive here. So it's right off of Mulholland, and that's a very popular place for people to ride, bikes or cars. If you have a sports car, Mulholland Drive is an amazing place to ride your car on. And it kind of fits with the theme of, the Indy 500 carburetor maker right here. So he probably knew everybody that had nice cars.
Right.
And they came here and, even over at Paramount Ranch, just 1 mile down, they used to have a big racetrack there. Not a lot of people are familiar with that. So it was a hot rod area.
Interesting. And then so Roaring Twenties came and went, and then so what happened to the property after that?
Yeah, so the carburetor business for the Indy 500, I guess, dried up, and he went bankrupt, and it was purchased by an amusement park. Okay, so there was an amusement park on the site.
Interesting.
They built this giant pool, and it was fed by Malibu Creek. So they dammed it up, and they would fill this pool from water from Malibu Creek.
I imagine back in the day before permits were a thing, right? Just let's build a pool.
Yeah, and it's exactly. And there's this big island in the center, and they would have like orchestras play while people would be on like these little rowboats. I know it sounds crazy to say a rowboat in a pool, but this pool is the biggest. I think it's like 60 million gallons.
Wow,
that's the biggest pool you've ever seen. And they had the stage where the concerts are held right now. You'll see like a brick wall behind the bands when they play. And back behind that, which you can't see, is all these sort of stone square buildings, which they had the animals in and they would bring them out to the front of the stage, and they would kind of cart them around. And
Interesting. So what was the name of this park?
it was Lake Enchanto.
Okay.
Lake Enchanto, and there was a big sign out front, and it was very popular for a while, but it couldn't compete with other amusement parks, and eventually it went out of business.
And then Disneyland came along, and the rest.
Yeah, Disneyland, Magic Mountain,
Right,
take your pick.
right.
It's tough. It's a tough business, I'm sure.
So did it stay in private hands after that, or did somehow the National Park Service get involved?
So Peter Strauss was filming Rich Man, Poor Man.
He was an actor or a producer?
He was an actor. He still acts. He does Broadway shows.
Oh, wow, he's still around.
He's still around.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's amazing.
He lives in Ojai.
Okay.
Some people have said that he's been to a few of the shows. I have not seen him. He hasn't introduced himself, but it's possible.
Interesting. It's like
So-
incognito, coming to his own old property.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, he's the older generation of actors, so I think a lot of people may not know who he is if they saw him, because he does Broadway. He doesn't do the popular movies that we see now. He's not one of the Avengers.
Sure. Right, right. So he sold to the National Park Service. at
Yeah,
some-
so he sold it, pretty much donated to the National Park Service, and they're the ones that own and operate this space now, and they've really tried to keep it exactly the way it was. You don't add stuff to it. You only preserve what's made. So the theater, everything like that is the way it looked back when it was.
And then unfortunately the house was lost in the Wolsey Fire.
Yeah. So the Wolsey Fire of 2019, or was it 2018? 2018 destroyed the ranch house, the stage for the theater stage. It was pretty traumatic, and the bridge that gave you access to here from Mulholland was also burned down, because it was a wood bridge, if you can imagine a wood bridge in California.
Right.
But that burned, and it took 2 years to recover from that. We rebuilt the stage, Tiny Porch did, and I guess Caltrans rebuilt this beautiful bridge that they put there.
How did Tiny Porches come about? Because you don't really think of having a concert in a national park or a national recreation area is a little bit different. Did you just say one day, hey, this is a beautiful setting and I want to throw concerts here? How did this all come about?
Well, I love live music, and I've been going to shows, festivals, concerts all around the country. I like rural settings. I prefer outdoor shows. And a lot of my friends knew that I like music. And so one of my employees said to me one day, he said, Mike, there's this really cool theater not far from where you live called Peter Strauss Ranch. I think there's a show this Sunday that the National Park Service is putting on. You should go check it out. So I went, came here, brought my own, picnic and stuff, and was just completely blown away and enamored. Just fell in love with the theater, with this whole surrounding here. I didn't particularly care for the music that was being played. I didn't think it fit the space. It was like heavy metal or something. Heavy metal's fine,
Right.
but just not here. So I called up the National Park Service the Monday after. It was a Sunday, I think, that I went to the show. And I asked him, I said, hey, do you need any help with this? It looks like, you could help with some help with curating the bands and maybe having the, different audience flow. And they said, actually, if you want to take it over, please do.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't happen that quick. I'm giving you a shorter story.
Sure.
But they said, as long as it's a free concert, great, you can do it. And that's a pretty big hurdle
Sure.
to do a
Because
concert.
there are costs related to everything,
Yeah, you got sound, you got to pay the artists.
right?
So I came back to them and I said, could we get sponsors? Could we get VIP donors that we could give them special seating and maybe wine and cheese beforehand? And they got back to me a couple of weeks later, because the federal government does move a little bit slower
Right.
than other places. They can't do a deal right there. And they said, great, let's do it. Send me a proposal. And it's been, I think we had a 5-year contract. The contract came up 2 years ago, and they renewed it then. So it's been great.
So I imagine it's evolving, right, from your first concert. When was the first concert?
The first concert was 2016.
Okay, so you've been at it for about 6 years or so, or no, eight years.
8 years. We had one hiatus because that thing that happened in 2020.
Yeah.
The year before that, 2019, after the fires burned this area down, we actually held the series at King Gillette Ranch, which is another big ranch house down the way, and then we came back here as soon as everything was ready because this is a special place. Tiny Porch Concerts belongs at Peter Strauss Ranch.
Right. And so how did you find your first bands, and then how is that kind of evolving now? I mean, imagine word's kind of getting out.
Yeah, it's much easier right now to get bands because now the more bands that have played here, the more bands that want to play here.
You're making a reputation.
Yeah, they tell their friends. We have a lot of bands from Nashville that are calling us up that want to play because it's a great audience. They listen. It's not rowdy. Everyone is there to listen. You get 300 to 500 people, and it's amazing. But to get that started was hard. So I had to, I had this really long email that I would send out to artists or their management and say, there's this really amazing space in the Santa Monica Mountains just outside of LA. Can you do it for this much money? It'll be worth your while. And we got a few takers the first year. And then then we started getting photographs of what it looks like at these shows. And then we had stuff to post on social media and to send on email. So people were getting more and more of a vibe of what this looks like. And they started getting the concept. And so we've been getting artists ever since.
That's great. Now, is there a particular style of music that the kind of concert gears towards?
I would say in general, it'd be progressive, bluegrass, indie folk.
Interesting.
So and a little bit of pop. So everything kind of fits in that, and a little bit in country, alt country.
Okay. So who are some of the bands that have been here?
Well, we just had Adam Ezra played our last show. We've had Sean Watkins played here. Steve Pultz. These are names that in the folk world, in the folk bluegrass world, are very big names.
Right. Right.
But if you're listening to classic radio, you might not know who they are right now.
Sure.
But they will be very big names.
Sure.
To get sponsors and to get people to come to these shows, I would say this is our version of the Hollywood Bowl, but it's much smaller. It's very rustic and plenty of parking.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it is. I think that's a really good way of describing it when you see it. It's a bowl of a rustic, small bowl for music. It's meant for music.
And the acoustics work, right?
Amazing.
Because it's natural stone and
it's not unusual for an encore or even in the middle of a set for a band to just completely unplug.
Really?
And then they'll stand out in front of the stage and just play it completely acoustic. Crowd just goes dead silent and it just sings.
I would imagine there's something magical about having a concert in such a natural setting. I mean, the Hollywood Bowl is awesome, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But it's not a truly natural setting.
Right. Yeah. It's this has a natural setting. Actually, the way the stairs are and everything, it just conforms to the natural bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And then the mount, if you look behind it, it just keeps going up. It just keeps going all the way up to the Santa Monica Mountains because that's what the artist is looking. While the artist is playing to the audience, she's looking at the Santa Monica Mountains, and it's just this big.
So the experience for the artist is equally amazing as in a normal, not normal, but in a kind of a concert hall. Sometimes the artist can't even see the audience, right? Because the lights are shining so brightly on the artist, they're just looking into the blackness. Right.
Here's a great story about that. So we had Taylor Goldsmith from Dawes played here. It was like a late afternoon, early evening show. And he came in, we just had one chair for him. He was sitting down to play an acoustic set. And he looked around, he just was like blown away. He had never been here before. He grew up in Malibu, right? And
local boy,
big star, really. And he said, I got to tell everybody, I didn't have any expectations here because I try not to have expectations. But if I did, this would have far exceeded my expectations. And every artist feels that way. They come here expecting one thing, and then they're always blown away, and they always want to play here again.
That's awesome. And I would imagine with success is kind of that, American idea about growing, right? Bigger is better. And the name of this is Tiny Porches, right. That you're limited to, 300 to 500 people. And that kind of is anathema to what you would think but there's something special about keeping it small.
Yeah, we've had lots of people come, oh, this is one of the best concerts I've ever been to. You could make this thing so big. You could do 1,000 people, 2,000 people. I'd say first of all, we can't get 1,000 people here.
Right.
And we can't do it anywhere else but here. This concert series was meant to be here. Shows were meant to be here.
And then you have the added pressure of keeping it free. I mean, I imagine you can always raise the price of the wine and cheese to.
Yeah, we want to keep it free.
Yeah.
And the more people you have, the more expensive it is to do it. So, we have parking attendants because we have so many cars coming right now. We do have volunteers that help with ushering and ticketing and stuff like that. But the more people we have, the more expensive it is, no doubt.
That makes perfect sense. So what's in store for the future? What's kind of the idea? I mean, you obviously the name is set. There's the demand on the audience side, and the artists now want to perform here. Who's coming in the future?
Well, we have a show tomorrow.
Okay.
And we have a band called The Riverside is playing, and the Salty Sweets. These are traditional kind of bluegrass bands, and everybody's going to come, and they're gonna. I guess I just want to keep improving on what we're doing here. I want people to come here. I want them to feel like this is their private concert venue, that they step back in time and they know it's right in their backyard, and they want to feel like this is something that is ours, that I can tell my friends about that live back east or wherever they live, and I can try to tell them about this great, amazing place. And when they come out and visit, I'm going to bring them to this thing and show them what I'm talking about. And that happens all the time. I get relatives or, friends that come to visit, and then they're, a Tiny Porch concert goer takes them to the show, and they introduce me to the friend, and the friend's like, Jim's been telling me about this thing for years. I can't believe he's totally right. This is amazing. I can't wait to come back.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I just want to keep doing that. So just improve on the experience, really. At the very beginning, a lot of people ask me, well, what kind of music, is being played here, or do you have? And it's kind of a question that it would almost upset me a little bit, because I don't know. It's just they're going to fit in the Americana thing. It's going to be original music. Let's see what they sound like live, because every band has roots in whether it's country or bluegrass or folk, and when they play here, they really are kind of almost forced to play that style because it's acoustic.
Right.
You get a up and coming country band, for example, that plays electric and everything. When they come out here and they play, it's going to be more of an acoustic, like folk kind of country sound that it kind of changes.
Right. So they could play those more modern songs, but maybe here it's kind of in a more intimate acoustic setting.
Yeah, like unplugged.
Yeah.
Imagine
unplugged.
it's like unplugged.
Yeah.
That'd be a good way of explaining it.
Gotcha. So how can folks learn more about Tiny Porches? And maybe they're watching in the East Coast or the Midwest, or maybe they're here locally. And
okay, well, we have a website, tinyporchconcerts.com. There you can get on the mailing list there, an email mailing list, and we tell everybody what's going to happen next. Of course, we have social media that we do. If you want to know more about it, get on the social media, get on the email list, and we'll tell you what's going on. And if you want to come out and visit and see a show, literally contact us through the website. I'll tell you where to stay. If you want to camp, I'll tell you where to camp.
Oh, wow.
And
you could camp in the Santa Monica Mountains.
There's lots of great campsites around here. So, and I've had people, coming from other places, Utah, and saying, hey, where can I park my trailer? And I tell them, and, I can handle 300 people doing that.
Now, is the concert recorded, or you got to be here to experience it?
You have to be here to experience it. We have done some recordings, but, you'll see more photos than you will recordings, really. Well, you can bring your own food and drink.
Oh, you can?
Yeah, and you can bring wine and beer.
Oh.
So it is a big picnic, and everyone comes out here, and you can see some pretty amazing spreads that people put out.
They go all out.
Yeah, they get here early, and I like to walk around and meet everybody, before the show, and I look and see what they're making and stuff, and I've had some pretty good sandwiches.
They're not fooling around.
Yeah, and they know I like wine, so everyone likes to bring like some really special wine. If they have something they really like, they like to share. So I always like that too. It's cool.
That's great.
Yeah. But the VIP between 4 and 5 have wine, beer, cheese, charcuterie, compliments of Cornell wine right across the street, and some other local wineries and some wineries from Paso and stuff that also donate wine for the.
You said that you gravitate towards Nashville bands?
I do like bands from Nashville because I do feel like, as LA is the epicenter for the movie business, I think Nashville is the epicenter for music. So if you can make it in Nashville in music, you can make it anywhere. So you get a certain, you always get a kind of a certain vibe from the Nashville. It's different. I can't explain it. They have a little bit different way of presenting themselves. Like they've been taught a different way than what you get. LA's a little bit more, the LA artists, and I love LA artists. There's just so many great ones here. A little bit more casual. A band comes from Nashville, they're buttoned up, they're ready to go.
Interesting.
Yeah. They don't mess around.
And what does the concert series look like? Are you 12 months out of the year? Is it kind of a limited series? Because we have a little bit of a winter here.
Yeah, well, the first show is always Mother's Day.
Okay.
And then we do one show a month after that for 3 months. So we have a total of 4 shows.
It's short.
It is a short series. And yeah, this is our last show tomorrow for the year. And it feels like we just got started. But it's a lot of work. Putting on these shows is a lot of work. And it does start to get hot. You'll notice tomorrow that it's going to be in the 80s. And the 80s in this area with the sun beating on you feels more like, 100.
It's hot.
Yeah. But when the music starts around 5, the sun kind of comes down behind the mountains and the trees, and it starts to cool down. And it's really one of the greatest temperatures to see a show. Everyone's wearing shorts and T-shirts.
Do you feel that a short series is kind of what's meant for Tiny Porches, or do you see it being a little bit longer?
I think we could do another show here and there, weather permitting. But I think what makes it special is it's not, 6 months of concerts. It's only these 4 concerts, and everybody knows, get your tickets for these shows. Otherwise, you might miss it. There's a couple neighborhoods over here like that kind of surround us as well.
But still kind of not densely packed, and they're all custom homes.
No, when I say neighborhood around here, that means like, 3-4 acre ranch house with horses, those type of homes.
Right.
And a lot of those people, they can either hear it from their own backyard.
Wow, how cool is that?
Yeah, I know, wouldn't that be great? Or a lot of them just will walk here. They'll walk with their kids and stuff and come and enjoy the show and introduce themselves. We do get a lot of children coming to shows, and that's surprising. You wouldn't think that they would be into, whatever kind of music is we're playing, modern bluegrass, right? But they get up there, they start dancing, and they have fun, and then the parents start dancing. And I would say pretty much every show turns into a big dance party. Everyone's dancing and enjoying it. Yeah. People ask about dogs, and the theater's kind of tight, right? So if you bring a dog...
You can bring your dog?
You can bring a dog. It's got to be on a 6-foot leash at all times. And we really ask people to be respectful of the other audience, because we don't want dogs barking.
And eating somebody else's charcuterie more, right?
Yeah, we really, we don't encourage it, but some people want to bring their dogs. We just tell them to kind of sit on the outside. You can still hear the music just fine.
Who are your sponsors?
We have like 10 sponsors. Haley Dixon from the Financial Freedom Network. She's a new gold sponsor this year, and she's been very active. Haley's new, but all the other sponsors have been doing it since the beginning.
They believed in the vision, and they've carried through.
Yeah, they believe in the vision. They like to, bring their clients here. They like to bring their friends here or their coworkers. They're like, so on the waterways, it's not unusual for them to have 12 of their people in the audience, having a good time. It's a good way for sponsors to entertain their employees.
Sure, it's like having a box seat at a Laker game, right?
But the Hollywood Bowl.
Yeah, but it's better in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it is better in a lot of ways. But we are looking for sponsors, of course. Wonderful. And we do reach out towards the end of the year for new sponsors. Or if someone's interested in being a sponsor, they can go to our website, and there's information there, and they can contact me through the website. Wonderful.
Well, Mike Corridori, thank you so much for being our guest on this edition of On the Road. We've loved having you and learning about the Peter Strauss Ranch and the Tiny Porches Concert Series.
Thank you, Paul. It was a pleasure. And thank you for being interested in this amazing music concert.
Absolutely. And of course, we want to thank our sponsor, Opus Escrow. And be sure to tune in next time for the next On the Road.